Once upon a time, there was a family with 4 incompetent sons. These 4 lazy boys did nothing but spend their family's wealth on life's pleasures, until their wasteful ways drove the once prosperous family into deep poverty. One day, the father became so ill that he was at death's door. He knew that he would soon pass away. So he called for his sons and whispered sadly, "My dear sons, your father will soon be dead, and when I am dead, how will you 4 manage to live by yourselves?" Hearing these words, the 4 incompetent sons wondered, "What should we do? When father is around, we can live off of him, but when he is no longer here, how are we going to manage? Are we just going to wait until we starve to death? We are still young, so we can't just wait for death to come. We must do something." The father then said, "I knew that I would die one day, and that your livelihood would then be a problem. So I have prepared things for you. I have saved up a hoard of gold to take care of your future needs." The sons' spirits immediately brightened, and one of them asked, "Is the gold at home?" The father replied, "In such troubling and unstable times, I wouldn't dare hide 50 ounces of gold here at home." "Then where is it?" asked another of the sons. "It is hidden in the 10-acre field at the foot of the mountain." The wise father had already hidden the deeds to those 10 acres, so the sons would not be able to sell the land for cash. He then told them that he had buried the gold under the field. "Where, exactly?" one of the sons demanded. "I don't quite remember," replied the old man. "Anyway, the gold is hidden in that 10-acre field, so go and find it yourselves. I will die soon, so if you 4 want to support yourselves, go find those 50 ounces of gold." After hearing these words, the 4 sons completely forgot about preparing for their father's impending death, and they didn't even feel guilty about it. The news of the hidden hoard of gold made their greed flare up, so they could not even wait until morning. They immediately grabbed their rakes and shovels and headed for the field to search for the gold. They raked and raked the soil, not for farming, but for the sole purpose of finding that gold. The 4 brothers raked the soil for the whole night, but by dawn they still hadn't found the gold. After that full night's hard work, they were exhausted and needed to rest, so they headed home without the gold. However, when they got home, they were too restless to sleep. Each of those good-for-nothing brothers had the same selfish idea. "I will go and search the field on my own, so I can keep all the gold for myself when I find it." Each of the 4 brothers then crept secretly back to the field to search for the gold by themselves. The first time through, they had not raked the soil very deeply. The second time, they raked it deeper, yet still could not find the gold. They raked and raked for several days without success. By then, their bodies were exhausted, and their father had been dead for 2 days. All their lives, the 4 sons had only eaten and slept, and as we all know, the lazier the body is, the more useless it gets. However, after several days of physical exertion, their bodies and joints were becoming revitalized, and their spirits had risen. Maybe it was the feeling of physical well-being that led them to change their minds. Since the soil has been so thoroughly raked, they agreed, we may as well just level it and plant some fruit trees. Once they started to work, they had no time for idleness. They leveled the whole 10 acres of farmland and planted fruit trees all over it. When harvest time came around, they sold the fruit and discovered that when they counted their earnings, it came to exactly the same amount in cash as the 50 ounces of gold that their father had promised them. The 4 sons then finally realized, "Father lied to us when he said there was gold hidden in the field. He wanted us to find comfort and bliss through work." Does this story make any sense? Just think about it, and the moral will be clear without explanation. Even though it's only a story, the moral is true. It is fortunate that there wasn't any gold in the fields, for if there had been, and if the brothers had found it, they would only have taken it to eat, drink, and gamble. Then all would have been wasted, and the farm lost. Instead, there is now better land for them to farm, land that is worth more than gold. If a man is hard working, the soil will never be lazy. His hard work will always be rewarded. As we know, the Honorable Shakyamuni Buddha entered Nirvana almost 3,000 years ago, and it is now the Dharma ending age. Although we cannot see Shakyamuni Buddha, he has opened 84,000 Dharma doors for all sentient beings in the Kiliakasam cubed. This Dharma is like that bountiful 10 acres of farmland. It is worth more than any amount of gold. By means of Shakyamuni Buddha's blessings and merits, which have been nurtured for eons of time, practitioners who work hard will find liberation through the practice of Dharma as revealed by him. As long as you work hard, keep to your duties, and stand by your responsibilities, you will be rewarded with blessings.